My name is Martha Steele, and I live part of the year in Massachusetts and part of the year in Vermont. I have Usher syndrome, an inherited retinal disease in which I have hearing loss as well as vision loss due to retinitis pigmentosa. My journey began in a largely unintelligible world. I was diagnosed with severe hearing loss at the age of 5, and I lived during my first grade year with a foster family so that I could attend a special school for hearing impaired kids and receive intensive speech and hearing therapy. Later, at the age of 25, I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, shattering in a nanosecond my hopes and dreams for the future. But my despair turned to elation when I later learned from a specialist that my vision loss would be slow over many years. And I was best just to go ahead and plan what I had always wanted to do. By the age of 30 and in the early 1980s, I had completed graduate studies and I began my career in public health in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But in the early 2000s, I was facing a double whammy. My central vision began to precipitously decline. And with that, I was having greater and greater difficulty seeing faces and, importantly, lips. That meant I was having much greater difficulty reading lips. This is a big deal for someone who's hearing impaired, because lip reading is crucial for understanding speech. So I was losing vision and at the same time losing my capacity to understand speech. In 2010, trying to address this loss of speech understanding, I took a leap of faith and received the first of my 2 cochlear implants. The results were spectacular. I heard so much better, and largely because I heard at the age of 58, for the very first time, consonants, I could understand speech better. So, for example, I heard the difference between chair versus share. And amazingly and totally unexpectedly, as a bird watcher, I heard birds for the first time. And I was simply overjoyed, because that meant that as I lost my ability to see birds, I now gained an ability to hear them. And I could continue my birding passion by listening to birds and identifying them by song. Today, now at the age of 70, I am totally blind. Father Thomas Carroll, the guiding spirit of the Carroll Center for the Blind in Newton, Massachusetts, in 1961 published an internationally acclaimed book called Blindness: What It Is, What It Does, and How to Live with It. In it, he details what he calls the 20 losses associated with blindness. Now that I don't see anymore, what really hits home, what really moves me, is what he calls losses of the visual perception of the pleasurable and losses of the visual perception of the beautiful. Waves of grief arrive suddenly, out of the blue, without warning, in moments when I cannot see what I know is pleasurable, meaningful, or beautiful. When my niece walked down the aisle in what everyone said was a stunning dress, I cried tears not of joy, but of sadness, because I could not see her. When I handle a photograph in my hand, I mourn the loss of all the warm memories associated with the photograph that I cannot see. And one of my deepest losses was when I could not see my mother as she was breathing her last breaths of life. Instead, having to settle for touching her hair, her face, her arms, her hands, closing my eyes and trying to visualize what she looked like. But for all my losses, I have so much to be grateful for. I am a very fortunate person in ways that are as incalculable as they are limitless. And one of the things I'm very grateful for is the Foundation Fighting Blindness. For over 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has been unquestionably, undisputed global leader in driving the research forward towards treatments and cures of Usher syndrome, retinitis pigmentosa, Stargardt, and other inherited retinal diseases. The foundation has driven that research, and today they have had a hand in nearly 90% of the dozens of human clinical trials underway today. That is astonishing. Their grants to young researchers over the years have resulted in nearly 3/4 of those researchers staying in the field to study and conduct research on our diseases. All that talent seeding the current and future pipeline of research to find treatments for our diseases. I am like all of you. I want something, a treatment, a cure, like yesterday. But I know it takes time, and we have to support research because that is the only way we're going to arrive at treatments. So I invite all of you to join me and the many thousands of supporters of the foundation all across the globe as we all move forward in trying to find treatments and cures that will eradicate blinding diseases. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your support.